been legally blind since age 5. So driving was never a thing for me, never an opportunity that I imagined. In getting to work with the National Federation of the Blind about 2 decades ago, we started thinking about the possibility of blind people driving cars. Now, we're not talking about autonomous vehicles, but building a car that a blind person could drive independently using innovative non-visual technologies. And to shortcut the story, I found myself in 2010 having the responsibility of leading a technology project for the Federation called the Blind Driver Challenge to develop a blind drivable vehicle. And we did a public demonstration of that technology at the Daytona International Speedway in January 2011. You can go to YouTube and look for Blind Driver Challenge, and you'll see someone in that video looks just like me, actually exact same shirt, doing the public demonstration, because I also got the nod to be the blind person that drove in the first public demonstration. So in that case, we were using the core of what is autonomous vehicle technology, the sensor technology, the outside of the car, the processing in the trunk. But rather than the computer making the decision, we were communicating driving information to a blind person using non-visual technologies. So we really kind of use 2/3 of what happens in autonomous vehicle technology. Now, our goal in that project was to advance non-visual interfaces and to improve the way that technology is built for blind people. But in the process, what we recognized was, this now being a decade ago, that we were pushing the front edge of autonomous vehicles to say that blind people should be included in this technology from the beginning, not after the fact, not as an afterthought. And so I really got thrown into the center of it very experientially, and since then have really been a champion for this idea that we can't wait until this technology is completely figured out and well road tested and everybody else has it, and then include the blind. We need the blind at the forefront of this so that we can build in innovative interfaces and take advantage of the perspective that blind people have. And I just add to that that through that process, what I learned is that, we're only really limited by our imagination about what's possible. No one believed that a blind person could get in a car and drive it on the Daytona International Speedway until blind people did, and then we went out and built it. So by starting with the prospect that it's possible and being very thoughtful about the development, we know we can get there, and that's why it's a pleasure to work with the other PAVE partners on this initiative.
We partnered at Cruise very early on with NFB and other members of the low vision and blind community, really taking that message that Mark was just talking about of getting the low vision and blind community in at the ground level of what we're working on to heart. And so one of the big things that we did was we hosted a focus group with several members of the low vision and blind community, both representatives of the National Federation of the Blind, the American Council of the Blind, and Lighthouse San Francisco. We brought them into our offices, and one of the things that we really did was we went on ride-alongs with human rideshare drivers and taxi drivers and had those focus group members narrate to us their experience. The other thing that we did in order to learn, again, at the ground level at the beginning, is that we brought those focus group members in to meet with our design team. And so there was a co-design focus group where we went over a lot of different questions about, what would need to change? What would you want to see? How would things be different? And that was hugely helpful for us and hopefully for the participants in that focus group, because what we learned from that engagement is that the things that for a sighted person, for you and me, if we're getting in an Uber or a Lyft and, they don't end up coming to the same side of the street that we're on and we have to cross a very busy 4 lanes of traffic, it's an irritation, but it isn't going to mean the difference between whether or not we get a ride. For someone who is low vision or blind, that could be the difference between getting a ride and being stuck on the curb. So we learned a ton during these focus groups and having those conversations early, and it's a partnership that we really value.